The date is Tuesday, October 4th, 2022. This is a regular time and place for a meeting of the Kings County Board of Supervisors. We continue to deal with the health emergency, so this meeting is being held by WebEx platform. So whether you're joining us by way of the internet or by the teleconferencing application, we thank you for participating virtually. For those online, if you can use the raise your hand feature to get the attention under unscheduled, and you'll give you 2 minutes to comment. And if you're on telephone, hope you made arrangements with the clerk. Members in the audience that are here live, I hope you filled out a speaker's card if you want to address the board under unscheduled. And we will take up those requests the way they are received by the clerk. Every vote today will be a verbal or voice vote so that members of the public can hear how each board member has voted. After we introduce the item and had a discussion, we'll have a motion and a second, and then the roll call will be held by district. With that, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll to establish quorum?
Joe Nevs.
Here.
Richard Valley.
Here.
Doug Verboon.
Here.
Craig Peterson.
Here.
Richard Fagundes.
Very good. We have 5 members present. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attendance and participation. If I can ask you all to please rise as we invite Ed Hill forward to deliver the invocation this morning, and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please bow your head in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, enlighten us as we meet so that each of us have clear understanding of the issues we need to discuss. Give us clarity on our purpose and what we should accomplish today. We pray that you look over those who find themselves in the throes of war. We pray that you look over our men and women in uniform and for their safe return. We pray for that you watch over Kings County and our constituents and you return water back to the valley. We ask these things in your Lord's name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in a moment of silence. Bernie Costa passed away. He was a longtime employee, staff member of Kings County, worked in the Ag Commissioner's office. So please observe a moment of silence in memory of Bernie Costa. Thank you very much. And now join me as we honor America by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge
of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Thank you very much. We're now going to move to employee recognition. We will be recognizing employees and staff that reach different milestones. And Carolyn, would you like to begin?
Yes, good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Human Resources Director Carolyn Least. I'm here today for the County Service Awards presentation. There has been a Kings County Service Awards program in place since 1977 to recognize full-time employment service for county employees. Service awards are presented to employees after the equivalent of 5 years of continuous full-time service and in increments of 5 years thereafter. At the end of each fiscal year, Human Resources identifies those employees who became eligible to receive service awards during the previous fiscal year. Each eligible recipient receives a certificate indicating the number of years of service that have been completed. Each awardee, 10 years and over, is also permitted to select an award to which they are entitled based on years of service completion. Awards are provided in the form of either cash or a memento based on the years of qualifying service. Employees who selected a memento will be notified by HR when it is ready for pickup at the Human Resources office. Employees who selected cash will have the amount distributed to them on their November 4th paycheck. Today, employees from the following departments will be recognized: Administration, including Minors Advocacy, Board of Supervisors, Department of Finance, and the Sheriff's Office. The Assessor, Clerk Recorder, and the Human Resources Office will both be recognized next Tuesday on October 11th, 2022. Therefore, we recommend that you acknowledge employees that have completed various milestones of county service. We will present by department. I will read everyone's name from each department, even if we do not expect the awardee to be here. Awardees, when your name is read, please come forward to receive your certificate and have a picture taken. We would also appreciate, after accepting your certificate, if you would wait in the well at the front of the board chambers for the group picture with the other recipients from your department. All right. So first, we have from administration, Edward Hill. 5 years.
Paying attention.
Come on down.
So, yeah. Congratulations.
Feels like 10 years.
We also have one more from
And so-
administration,
That's all right.
and this is with Minors Advocacy, Randall Harper. Okay, so you want to get a group photo of Ed and the board?
Right, everybody. You got everybody? You can, you know, have them stand up.
Nope, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good job. You did it. 5 years, 3 jobs.
Me too.
Don't let him, yeah. Don't let him, yeah, forget, today's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday to Tuesday.
Heard that. All right, so the next one is from the Board of Supervisors. We have Catherine Venturella, 30 years.
You know, I did a little bit of research.
Uh-oh.
You know, almost like this is your life. Do you remember that? That's an old.
Big hook.
The journey began in February of '92. Do you remember back then?
Yeah, I think February 18th.
Whoa, I'm impressed. Who was that?
Johnson.
Don Stevens. And you only stayed on that job for 2 months, though. What happened to that?
I got the job for it and passed probation.
Ah. So then she moved over to planning.
We got a handshake and they said, we'll take her.
Yeah, after 2 months. And then a planning secretary came along in '93. Reclassified as an executive secretary in 2001. You remember the date when you came over to the Board of Supervisors?
November 26th, 2001.
Is it a good memory or a bad memory?
And on November 27th, I went to a CSAC meeting.
Right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Well, Catherine, it's certainly a pleasure to work with you, and I know your experience and abilities have, really helped the board accomplish all of the goals. I know the project you've taken on of digitalizing and indexing all of the records is certainly a great project to come along. And Doug, do you have anything else? Or-
You know, I've been thinking here, I've known Catherine for probably about 42 years, maybe longer. I can't tell any of those stories, but I'm glad she kind of found herself in life and she's been a productive member of society. But I'm very,
Statute of limitations up on him.
no, Catherine has a balancing act to take care of 5 board members, each with different personalities. She does a great job, keeps us focused, and we really appreciate all the work she's done. And I remember coming here at the county and going to the planning department and her, charging me a lot for every light switch and plug and everything. I'm like, what the hell? But no, she's done a great job, and I'm very honored to have her here as our clerk.
Yeah, no, I just thank you. I mean, it's been 8 years for me, almost 8 years here for me. And when you walk in the door from a different life and you're asked to accomplish many goals, it's a lot to swallow. And so she gets a lot of stupid questions. And as she's always, portrayed, there are no stupid questions, just stupid supervisors. So, yeah. Yeah, but Doug is right. We all have different personalities and we take it in different ways. And she has to respond to those different ways. And we always appreciate walking in and getting the hello in the morning and, some of the stories that exist. I remember my first time as chairman, I have the corner office and not because of importance, just that was the one that was empty, right? And but I would walk in and go into my office, sit down and go to work. And everybody would walk through and they say, oh, he's here. I was like, yeah. So I had to go down and to the local store and buy a little flashing light. And I put a little flashing light and I'd turn it on every time I walked in, said that, the chairman is in and just kind of the fun things that occur, over a period of time and
They don't care.
yeah. Right, yeah. I'm not chairman, but no, it's been wonderful and your assistance in getting us where we need to be in a timely manner and all the reservations and everything else that happens on a daily basis, plus, riding roughshod on the agenda every week and so thank you so much for your devotion to the county and truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just also want to say thank you, Catherine, for your public service. We know that always comes with a private sacrifice, and that's a lot of years to be appointed to a position and survive. And so I think that shows as a testament to the work you're doing. So appreciate that. That's a good number of years for what you bring to Kings County. Thank you.
Catherine, all I could say is you're the more than a secretary and you keep us all motivated. And you're more than a secretary, you're just a good friend. And I appreciate that. I know.
Share donuts on Tuesday morning.
Well, she's watching out for me again because it only gives me a half. And I keep my calories down, everything's down, and she watches out for us constantly. And I appreciate that. But once in a while, I have to go back and get the other half.
Sometimes the half is kind of mushy. The bottom.
The only reason she does that, our taste buds are the same.
Yeah.
So we get the ones that aren't licked in the bottom.
No, I just want to say thank you for the honor of serving the board. I've served for 30 years, but 21 years directly with the Board of Supervisors. And I want to just say that the past, the present, and the future Board of Supervisors have been an honor. And thank you for allowing me to continue to serve the people of Kings County.
Oh, wow. Thank you for putting up with us.
Yeah.
Well, I apologize in advance. Stand up.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Catherine. So our next department is Department of Finance. We have one awardee this morning from the Finance Department, and it's Amanda Holden, 10 years. And then the next department is the Sheriff's Department. We have quite a few awardees through the Sheriff's Department. So I'll read their name by years of service. We have 5 years starting out. That's Ernesto Aguirre. Al Colser. Mariella Irwin. Alicia Baker. Timothy Baker. Kira Barkley. Rodolfo Bejarano. Brandon Bernardo. Joseph Blackburn. Eric Dye. Marlene Gonzalez. Ruben Gonzalez. Robert Hill. Brittany Hunt. David Leon Quintero. Devlin Silvera. Gracia Thomas. Nicole Valdez. Colton Verhoeven. And Clinton Vick. That's Sheriff's Department, 5 years. The next one is Sheriff, 10 years. I have Aaron Bairstow. Jonathan Chavez. Miguel Cortez. Jeanette Curiel. Justin Davis. Jerry Hunter, Corey Raven, Cole Souza, Joshua Spear, Timothy Stedman, Ariel Vang, and Matthew Washburn. The next one is the 15 years for Sheriff's Department. That's Alfredo Alcala, Cassandra Baker, Martin Castillo, Ramon Collier, Serlo Gonzalez, Selena,
Congratulations.
there's still some more, but if you want to wait in the bullpen, we're gonna have.
I hope he's got a good speech because he's speaking for everybody, right?
Yeah. So the next one, Selena Lomali, Maribel Nixon, Vivian Quintero, and Eddie Torres. Our next group is the 20-year with the Sheriff's Office, and we have Elaine Angel, Andrew Cortez, and then we also have Faye Wilson, who's here with us today, and her department will be saying thank you.
Morning, Faye. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Big help for all of the employee barbecue recognitions. Richard's still eating all his stuff. He still talks about how great everything worked.
I really appreciate what you've done for me during that recognition barbecue because you were upfront and very helpful, your staff also. And it takes everybody to pitch in and do the good, make it go, and they did. So, thank you.
Well, just me. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Crystal Thomas, captain with the Kings County Jail. I've had the privilege to work with Faye and Serlo for, their whole careers, my whole career. I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about Faye since this is her 20 year. She started December 24th of 2001. She wanted to spend Christmas with us that year. So she's had no choice. So Faye started as a jail cook. You know, the jail food services division services both the adult population of the Kings County Jail and juvenile hall. So the juveniles for Kings County Probation Department. She promoted in 06 to senior jail cook, and then she promoted in February of this year to food services manager, which we're thrilled about. So Faye started her career, of course, in December of 2001. Working at, the old main jail facility, the branch jail facility, and then, eventually we moved into the new jail. And she still works at the juvenile hall. Let's see, she oversees the food services program for both the jail and juvenile hall. Faye staff consists of 2 senior cooks and 7 jail cooks. In 2021, the food services division served over 646,000 meals to both the adult and juvenile population. So Faye does all the ordering for both facilities. The food services division participates in the employee barbecue. I know this year she took a much bigger role. I think she ordered the majority of all the food. I know they were a great help. The food services division, Faye and her staff also do a catering. They do a lot of catering for county events and also our community partners. We've been doing catering for Samuel's House. They had lost their well. So how long have you been catering for them? So they do breakfast and dinner basically twice a day, so Monday through Friday. So it's been a great help to Sam's House. I think we've gotten some great feedback about the food that they provide at the jail kitchen from the catering services, and just how much help Faye and her staff, did this year, especially with the employee barbecue. So Faye, Serlo, thank you for the years of service. We appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay right there. All right, good job.
Wait, the inmates get tracked too?
Have one more for the sheriff's office at 25 years, and that's for Daniel Tobert. And that concludes the service awards for today.
Good job. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations on the milestone, and we look forward to seeing you in 5 years. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, and that's unscheduled appearances. Any person may directly address the board at this time on any item on the agenda or any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of this board. Speakers will be limited to 2 minutes. Madam Clerk, do we have a record of anyone that would like to address the board at this time?
I do not have any written correspondence, but the first speaker is Bobby Wartson.
Good morning, Bobby. I want to thank and congratulate you on the Senior Day in the Park. That was a wonderful event at Burris Park. I think Richard's still licking his fingers from all of the eggs that he cooked.
I want to thank you all too for your participation. I want to thank everyone throughout the county that volunteered. It was a really good day. We ordered the weather, so we got exactly what we ordered. And everyone stayed safe, which was the most important.
That's right.
So for the record, my name is Bobby Wurtson, and I'm the Executive Director for the Kings County Commission on Aging. I'm here today regarding the ARPA funds. I know that you have a committee that brings recommendation back to you, but I feel that this is kind of urgent. And when you become a senior yourself, when you get in your 60s, everything is urgent. Doug, you'll know soon.
No, I'm not 60 yet.
No, but oh, you will be soon, though. So
I forgot how old I am.
I know you're already in your 60s. I know everybody's age up there. But anyway, and the reason I know your age because some of you already can receive our services. And then some of you will be getting our services soon. Anyway, I've been receiving a lot. I can't wait till you go to the daycare, Doug. Your wife to take you to the adult daycare for at least a week. I want Craig to go too.
Says I act like a 9-year-old most of the time. So, it'll be a challenge to all of you.
I want you to experience the adult daycare. I wanted Craig to, and I wanted to work as an aide when Craig was over there, but I don't think I'm gonna get that opportunity. But anyway, I've been receiving lots of phone calls when the senior sites were gonna reopen. We oversee the senior sites here in Kings County. There's one on 9th and a Quarter, one in Avenel, and one in Corcoran. So the seniors are ready to get back out. I think there's a lot of jealousy of us anyway in Kings County because we've been having our parties. We did the one in June, we did the one at the park. But the senior sites, they haven't opened yet. So it is an urgent to get them open back up. First of all, it's for the well-being of the seniors that help with their mental health. You would be surprised of the phone calls that we've been getting, what's going on in the home with them being isolated so long. I'm going to tell you a short story. June, when we did our elder abuse event in the parking lot, Board of Supervisors, Ed Hill was there carrying pancakes because they wanted to know who was the man with the white shirt on carrying the bucket. Carrying pancake mix. But anyway, after the event, we were all just sitting around. We were really tired. We had been there since about 6 a.m. in the morning preparing. And this car drove up after everybody had left. This lady gets out. She go talk to the man that's taking the event stuff down. Anyway, she came over. He pointed to us. She came over and she was talking about doing some damage here in Kings County and then hurting herself. So I'm thinking, okay, should I call 911? But she was very clear, don't call 911, don't call APS. Make a long story short, we took her in, we talked to her, we told her about the support groups and things that we could help her with. she told us, don't call me anymore. I'm not doing anything with you guys. I don't want any part of you. But anyway, on Wednesday, we do a support group, family support group on Wednesday. She showed up at the support group, has been coming every single week. I see her out making plans to go do coffee with some of the other people in the group. So they need to be able to interact with each other. A lot of them, this is the only interaction that they have is at those senior sites. So I need help getting the senior sites back up and going. And I didn't know which direction to take, so I thought, okay, I'll start here today and maybe you can give me some directions. I do have funding for it. Everything went to the frozen meal program during the pandemic. So most of the funding has been put into the frozen meal program. We deliver 5 frozen meals every Tuesday to seniors' homes, and roughly about 500 seniors receive those meals. We contract with Fresno EOC. They were charging us $5.19 per meal. July, they sneaked in $6.29, which I did not sign the contract for. And that raised the bill to over $10,000 extra a month was the increase. So I'm trying to get completely away from EOC. And for right now, what I'm wanting to do is start preparing the meals at each one of these senior sites. Ninth and a Quarter doesn't have a kitchen, but we have a kitchen in Armona until I can work out something to start the jail to cater in the meals.
Very good. I think Mr. Hill will work with you in the future and work through the process.
And I've met with Mr. Hill, I've met with Sheriff Robinson, and I've met with Faith.
Yeah, good.
So we are doing some stuff behind the scene.
Perfect.
So any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated.
Very good. Supervisor Valley?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing me I know it's unscheduled, but a couple things to fill in the gaps. Was there a dollar amount? And two, I wasn't aware that the senior centers weren't open. I mean, it's been a long time and everybody else, we're out doing things. We're going to movies, going to concerts. You know, to hear, Mr. Chair, that these seniors still don't have the ability to come in and socialize, that's got to add more to the anxiety level, the levels of depression. And if ARPA funds are intended for anything, in my opinion, it would be something like this. And I wish you would come forward sooner. Maybe it's just the timing and now you're realizing some shortfalls in the money, but please, this is, Mr. Hill, this is something that I don't know, Mr. Chair, how much action or direction we could give, but I would love to be able to see this expedited without waiting for the next ARPA committee meetings to take place. If this is something that you guys can work with together and bring back next week to the board.
As far as taking action today, we can't take formal action, but certainly the board can direct staff to work with Barbie and bring.
Bobby.
Oh, sorry, and
To be a Barbie. But
and bring something forward.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also just want to comment that I know it was a challenge, like I'm seeing you go full circle from the challenge of the frozen meals and getting that going. And then I'm sure you got 100 calls. Hey, my grandma, my grandpa, they're not getting it, how they get on it. And I saw you grow the list
Yes.
during the pandemic and then even working to get organized to find out who couldn't make it to the pickup site. And I heard that you had people dropping off meals to people. So thank you for that. Yes, we need to do in my opinion, I think we need to do, and I'm sure we want to do everything that we can to help you in the transition. So I'm sure there's going to be issues coming out of frozen meals to now providing meals on the sites, and you would probably get complaints for that because no good deed goes unpunished, right? And so, man, I just want to commend you for that, and I sure hope we can help you in your quest to help the seniors around Kings.
Mr. Chairman, if I could too, just a couple of quick questions, because I've received a couple calls as well. A lady that had tried to make an appointment with CSET, and they told her that they wouldn't meet with her in person, that she could only meet with a phone. And I'm just curious, we share a lot of responsibilities with Tulare County, and have they changed their policies? I mean, is it different in Tulare County that you're aware of that, or is there some overriding principles that, due to their,
Well, what we were all waiting on, and to your question, reason I'm just coming forward, is we was waiting on to get the go-ahead from CDA.
Correct.
Because CDA will tell us one thing, but then they post on their website another thing, so they try to cover themselves.
That state level?
Yeah, that's the California Department of Aging.
Okay.
So we were waiting on the go-ahead from them. Like now what they're saying is that a senior can get a hot meal plus the frozen meal. There's no way in the world that they can. How are we gonna afford to do it? So they're gonna have to make a choice. Do they want the hot meal or the frozen meal? Because the funding is not there for them to get both. But then they have on the website that it is. So it puts us in a really bad place.
I'd also say that, while ARPA funds are one option, it's one-time funding and it's not gonna be there in the future. So, I think looking at policies and how things are, applied, and then, sharing that thought process with those that fund these sources is going to be, the way that you keep it rolling. Because, I know that number is shrinking and, yeah.
And CSET too, they just opened, they're doing a soft opening. I'm not sure if it's 5 days a week, but they've been doing the bag and the grab and bag to go. So they're trying to get back up and open too.
This lady, she called again to make sure that she had an appointment. And then she showed up there and they said, no, we're not going to meet with you. You're going to have to call us. So she went out of her way to make sure that she had an appointment. She called again to confirm that and then got there and they said, sorry, we're not going to meet with you. You can call us. So, I think we also have to make sure that we're doing the right things as well. So.
Yes. And I try. I meet with everyone. They may not like what I say, but I meet with them. So,
Sure.
But anyway,
Did you have a dollar amount estimate?
well, I know that this is only one-time funding, but the problem is like we're starting from the beginning again. I have to hire all new staff, which I'm good with funding for the staff piece. It's the food that I don't have much money in. So this is to $50,000 would probably help us tremendously. And it's for food costs
Yeah.
for the year.
Diane, you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to go a caution. We are in comments. We're starting to get into details of a discussion that I think might require agendized items. So would be my recommendation that we work together and bring a board item back at a future date.
Okay.
Thank you, Bobby, and
Thank
thank
you
you
very
for all of
much.
the work that you've done to get to this point. And I'm sure working with Mr. Hill, we can come up with a solution.
And I have to say this to Supervisor Peterson. I know that your stay is short here. I appreciate all the help that you've given us, and especially on the governor board on Larry's side, because most of the time you make the motions for us. So, thank you.
He'll be in adult daycare before I will.
About 6 months.
Not if he keeps acting like that.
The next speaker is Jim Castleman.
All right, Jim. Good morning, sir. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Board Supervisors. Jim Castleman. I'm on the board of Main Street Hanford, and that's who I'm here representing this morning. I'm also on the City Parks and Recreation Commission and also work for Kings County. I went through this ceremony, I think 7 times. So that'll tell you how many years I worked for the county. So I just am here. Main Street's wanting to really thank you personally for that $6 million that you took out of the ARPA money to go to small businesses throughout the county. Main Street Hanford represents over 350 small businesses in downtown Hanford, and we are very aggressively letting them know about those funds and how to apply for those funds. So I just want to personally thank you. Main Street wanted to thank you for doing that for small businesses, not only in Hanford, but throughout the county. I know all of you have got small businesses in your districts that really suffered through this pandemic. And so that's a big, big step in the right direction. Also for the digital marketing grant that's out there now, another important piece for the small businesses. And I'm going to steal some of Ed Hill's thunder because I know he always updates you guys on what's going on. But I'm going to give you just a snapshot of what's happening in downtown Hanford. September 17th, we had our 21st annual Blues Festival in downtown Hanford. We had over 3,000 people in the Civic Park. A couple of organizations here that are affiliated with you guys, the Kings County Fire Association and the Kings County Sheriff's Association, both were sponsors for that event. The Sheriff's Department brought out their tobacco prevention folks and set up a tent and mingled with folks all afternoon. It was like a 3-hour event. We have extended our very popular Thursday night marketplace until October the 27th. We had to cancel 6 markets this year, and so that had never happened. I've been involved for 22 years at the Main Street, and we've maybe canceled 1 or 2, but we've never had to cancel 6. So we've extended to October the 27th, which will be a Halloween party in downtown Hanford. There'll be a costume contest. There'll be cash prizes given away. October the 15th, Main Street has partnered with the the Hanford Police Department's K9 unit, and they're doing their Brew Fest in downtown Hanford. That'll be like 1,500 tickets. I think they have 16 micro breweries coming, all the food you can eat and all you can drink for $45 ticket. That's on October 15th. October 21st is our very popular Witches Night Out. We put tickets on sale for Witches Night Out yesterday at noon, sold out in 3 minutes. And so it's a very popular event, and it brings people in from all over. We have people that come in on Amtrak from the Bay Area. We have people all over the valley that show up in downtown Hanford. October the 21st, you've never seen so many witches in your life. So November the 15th, we start a Christmas tree walk in downtown Hanford. We have 30 businesses. Main Street Hanford has bought Christmas trees. The businesses decorate the trees. It's a raffle to drive people into our small businesses downtown. You win a tree by December the 7th. November the 19th, the Winter Wonderland. It's a partnership between the city of Hanford and Main Street Hanford. The ice rink will be back in the Civic Park area. It's going to be bigger and better this year. There's going to be more events for kids going on. There's a big white tent that you can rent for a private party. It'll be with heaters and Christmas trees and decorated in the season. So that's November 19th through January the 8th. November 25th is Hanford's Christmas Parade. December 2nd is our very popular 22 years running wine and chocolate tasting party. That's in downtown Hanford. You can buy tickets for that event on our website. We have a Christmas tree. That Christmas tree walk will be going on at the same time. And then January 1st, a brand new event. Main Street Hanford is hosting a masquerade gala at the Hanford Civic Auditorium. Heavy hors d'oeuvres, free drinks, champagne toast at midnight, live music by the Valley Cats. It's a $100 ticket. Funds go into our art programs that are going on in downtown Hanford. We're getting ready to kick off a mural project in downtown, and hopefully with those funds, we will continue that project going forward. So that's a little bit of update of what's going on with Main Street, but the main reason I'm here is to thank you guys for what you're doing and what you've done for small businesses. This is just as important and probably even more important what Bobby just brought to you, but our small businesses really suffered through the pandemic, and a lot of them went out of business. Some of them are just barely hanging on, and we just appreciate that taking that money out of that ARPA money and putting it towards the small businesses throughout the county. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Castleman.
Thank you.
That's all the speaker cards that I have. It doesn't appear anyone online has their hand raised.
And last call for anyone that's in chambers. Seeing no one come forward, thank you very much, everyone. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is approval. Do we have a closed session, Diane? Is there anything on closed session you want to report out?
Yes, I will report out from closed session that on September 27th, the board took action to appoint as interim Economic and Workforce Development Director Jay Salyer. The board will confirm that action today in open session and set his compensation.
Very good, thank you. Jay, you want to save your remarks? Remarks?
I would say.
Okay, yeah, reserve your remarks till later. Yeah. Very good. Thank you, Diane. The next item is the approval of the minutes from that September 27th meeting. Have board members had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Question or comment, I'll move on the minutes.
Second?
Moved by Verboen, seconded by Peterson. Thank you very much. Additional discussion? Hearing or seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Let the record show the minutes stand approved unanimous. Thank you very much. The next item is the consent calendar. All items under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be acted upon by one motion. At the request of any board member, any item may be removed and made part of the regular agenda.
No questions, comments, I move for approval.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would second that, but I also have a request to remove consent item A1.
A1. Okay. For further discussion, you want to ask questions now or you want to?
We'll just take it under regular agenda, I guess, right?
Okay, very good. Supervisor Fagundes, you're all right with that change?
Yes.
Very good. Are there any other questions or comments? The the consent calendar has been amended to remove A1 with all as amended. If there are no other questions or comments, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Let the record show that item stands approved, 5 in favor. Now we'll take up an agreement for training and support group services and be from behavioral health. And I see Katie or Anchang or Dr. Lewis. We have 3. So, yeah,
We don't have to vote then.
no, correct. You have any questions, Supervisor Peterson?
I mean, I can outline my thoughts if it's helpful, Mr. Chairman, or,
I can present the agenda item if you would like.
Correct.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and outline it, Anchang, please?
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. Unchang Perry, Deputy Director at Behavioral Health. The department is seeking approval of agreement with the Source LGBT Plus Center, INC, to provide trainings and support group services in Kings County. This support group program is one of 4 support program that a department currently has under the Mental Health Services Act plan as a prevention activity. The mission of the Source LGBT Plus Center, INC, the Source, is to provide spaces within the communities for the LGBT plus population to learn, grow, belong, transfer, and support. The Source works closely with the Kings, Fresno, and Tulare counties with a vision to cultivate new resources through advocacy and partnership to unite and advance the LGBT plus community in the counties, within those counties. The support groups are offered to any interested individual at no cost, and all groups are peer-driven with a staff from the Source serving as a facilitator, and the Source has been working with the department since 2018. The Source also provide cultural humility training to assist mental health staff and community members in understanding the local LGBT plus community. The support group meets on the 2nd and 4th Thursday of each month from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at Behavioral Hall in Hanford. Under this agreement, as a part of a MHSA plan, the department provides oversight of a program to comply with the federal, state, and county contract guidelines. The term of the contract is retroactive from July 1, 2022 to June 30, 2024. The contract is retroactive due to the high volume of contracts the department is currently managing, also needing to prioritize the other urgent contracts recently. In addition to administrative delays in contract processings and the shortage of department staff in the contract unit. The agreement amount is $20,000 for each fiscal year. Revenue and expenses were included in the department adopted budget 2022-2023 in the budget unit 422200 in the Mental Health Services Act. The agreement has been reviewed and approved by the County Council as to form.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, no, once again, I just bring forward the challenges that face us when we get contracts that have been previously signed. We haven't had a chance to have the discussion about these issues. So, I do this with all the sensitivity that is in my body. When I think about the LGBT community, I have extended family members that are part of that community, and the thing that I always appreciate the most is that they take that and because it's a personal choice. It's a sexual choice and proclivity, and I appreciate that, and I'll support that. I have a problem when it makes its way into government. You look at what's occurring in our schools today with respect to morality, the things that are being forced down parents' throats that have nothing to do with education today. And so when issues like this come forward, I have a real problem with government, whether it's state, federal, county government taking part in this. You look at the mental health challenge that we have today, and we're going to take, folks have come to me, they're trying to find a slot to find, psychological services, mental health support, and they can't get it. And here we're going to take $20,000 and apply it to a group that, has made a choice in life. So, with respect to that, I think these are personal choices. I would like to see us return the funds back to mental health services where they're most needed. It doesn't, mental health crosses all lines. There is no definition of whether it's sexual choice or anything else, drug abuse. But clearly we have a challenge in our community with mental health and finding ways to assist folks with mental health. When I read the agenda item, the vision is to cultivate new resources and to advance. We have no business advancing sexual proclivity from government. And for those reasons, I urge my colleagues to pull this and to shift that funding back to mental health services where they're most needed.
Dr. Lewis?
The support group is to meet mental health needs. The folks who are members of the LGBT community are some of our most, especially the youth, are some of our most high risk for suicide. They are a large percentage of the foster youth and the homeless youth in our community, often because of families who reject them. So they have a very serious need for support, information, help, housing, all kinds of things. And so this pop-up support group has been a lifesaver for many families in this community and does directly relate to their mental health.
But I would just respond that, there's nothing prohibiting any family or any member from coming forward with any issue. Mental health challenges are mental health challenges, suicide challenges are suicide challenges. And here we're taking money away from people that may have those challenges and creating a support group when we could be getting to the core of the problem. And I think that's the actual mental health services, getting them into suicide prevention program and talking about that. But, the greater jurisdiction here, and then to include the advancement of the LGBT lifestyle has no business here, in my opinion. And so for those reasons, that's why I pulled this item.
I'll also note that one of the things that they do as far as health education is information about PrEP and PEP, which is medication that can help prevent HIV. And so there's many services that they provide in this group. So that's one of the things that they promote is public health information.
Good, thank you. Supervisor Rowley? Question or
Yeah.
comment?
I guess a little bit of both, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can appreciate my colleagues' desire to pull this. I mean, everyone has their own beliefs and their own opinions. That being said, this is something that I would be very supportive of. I can tell you, I think it was about 4 years ago, we were sitting in closed session here, and I got a phone call with a text that it was urgent, so I stepped out, and I learned that my cousin's son, he's 29 years old, and is a member of the LGBT community. It was about noon that Tuesday, and his mother walked in the bedroom and found him deceased. And they still, to this day, have not recovered from that loss. And part of that was under mental health issues and seeing everything without putting family business out there, but not seeing an easy transition of my little cousin coming out and even letting his parents know that how he was. And I just, the discussion here is way beyond anything I expected this to be about this morning. I mean, when you talk about choice versus being born, feeling a certain way, that's a whole nother discussion. And I'm very surprised that out of all the issues that we take up that, in my opinion, don't have anything to do with county business, but they get agendized, that this is pointed out here. But, you know, it's like anything else. If you're not at the table, then you're on the menu. And this community doesn't necessarily have a voice. They're not a community that is here often. And so it's an easy group to speak about. I don't enjoy this discussion. I would just hope that we can move forward and have enough support to move this. It's $20,000 each contract year. It's no impact to the county general fund. It's a population that there are Kings County residents. I mean, we don't X them out because of their sexual lifestyle, you know, and I don't even know if that's respectful to call it a lifestyle. I mean, what do you call, you know, people who want to be with multiple women, you know, in a week, or if they're married and they cheat on their spouses? I mean, we don't label them and say we're not here to support you. I mean, it's just beyond anything I expected this morning, and I just hope we could move forward. And again, I just want to end that by saying all due respect to my colleague, his opinion. I always think back to, you know, representation, and that's why I was just so vocal when it was during the time of redistricting. I would not think that district that my colleague represents overwhelmingly would be against something like this. And but that's what happens when we just don't get that ability to have a fairness here, especially at the county level. So I would make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we move forward as presented on this agenda item.
Moved by Valley. Additional questions, comments, concerns? Is there a second? Debs will second. With that, are there additional questions or comments?
Well, I guess just to respond to Supervisor Valley, I do have members, of my family. And so, I appreciate, whatever's occurred. Life is not fair sometimes. And, today I think I'm speaking on behalf of those that have mental issues today, that need mental health services today. And the support group, do we need to support or fund a support group to address the end result? Or do we need to be addressing the actual issue of suicide, which comes in front of the support group at the end, as you've described? And I think, the challenges that we face, you know, the absolute, you know, I mean, I have, you know, friends who have been through the system. It's a challenge to get them in there. You know, there's many barriers to get these services, and you know, I just would respond with, I think we should be helping those that are currently in a psychological or mental mental health challenge. And you know what happens after that, hopefully it's prevention of the issue that you've described. And you know, I think it's just on the backside of things there. So with that, thank you.
Supervisor Verboen?
Yeah, so this is a touchy subject. It's only $20,000. It's not a lot of money. And I think that we provide services to help people, guide them through their struggles in life. Whether it be a choice of a sexual lifestyle, or, you know, some people just wake up that way. I know when I was growing up, we had, you know, women that were masculine and men that were feminine, and we didn't really have it identified. We didn't label them at the time. They're different. We accepted them equally. Now we have a group that we can identify them, and they can be singled out in a group, which I think is illegal. You can't identify anybody's weaknesses or separate them from any other party. So I think this contract is okay because it gives someone a chance to at least go talk to someone about their issues and keep them from having any more issues. I don't like the wording of promotion of the services or enhance it. I think that should be, you know, clearly defined that we support them, keep them from being homeless, keep them from hurting themselves. I think that's extremely important. But it is touchy. We can't say anything without being homophobic. I don't think my supervisors has anything negative about it. I know the experiences his family's going through at this moment right now. You know, it's tough. We all go through it. Every person in this audience here has a story they can tell about their first time of experiencing someone that had this issue. I mean, I'll share an issue I had years ago with a good friend of mine that went from grammar school, kindergarten on, and I was at a funeral, and his aunt was telling me about this guy. You know, I'm like, what are you talking about? She said his name. I'm like, well, there's nothing wrong with him. Well, yeah, he is. He's gay. I said, no, he's not. I just saw him yesterday. Well, he was, but I didn't see that. I didn't identify him as being a different lifestyle than me. And I struggled with that because I didn't see that in my own world. But I had to go through the process of how do I treat them from now on, now that I know. And I treat them the same. I didn't change that. So I think society needs to accept that as well. But we don't need to promote it. We need to give them advice, give them a chance to work on their issues, keep them from doing suicide, keep them from killing themselves, keep them from having problems, keep them from being homeless. This is a struggle, though, because the more we talk, the more we look like we're against it or in favor of it. So I'm going to support it. But I do hear what my supervisor said on one side. I don't always agree with Supervisor Valley, what he said. I think he kind of contradicted what he said about some of the issues, but I will support the issue here today. Thank you.
Supervisor Valley?
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate your comments too, Supervisor. Honestly, I'm not prepared to comment on this. This was on consent, and it's not, I mean, I'm not prepared to show up here and I appreciate your comments. You're focused on fiscally and county policy and trying to help everybody. What threw me off is just when my colleague brings up the issue from a moral standpoint. And I don't know. I don't think we can assume, if we're going to sit here and talk about morals, that we can assume that there's not somebody in the audience who could be gay or lesbian or.
And that's fine. I mean, I'm saying let live and let live, but don't force the majority or the whatever number it is to consume, you know, I mean, here we're talking about advancing LGBTQ policies. I don't think we have any work government. That's a personal choice. And whatever, you know, God or whatever, you know, if you're born that way, I understand. But it's not the duty of government to impose your sexual proclivity, you know, God born or otherwise.
And that's a part I just have difficulty with because, would you be talking like that if there was an openly gay county supervisor sitting up here?
I would.
Or an openly
I
gay?
told you at the start, I have family members that identify in this way.
Supervisor, if I was you.
I didn't hear you.
I tread lightly. It's a touchy subject.
And it is a touchy subject, but it was touched. And I don't know, I just like to be, I'm always, when someone doesn't have a voice, and there is no voice here, there's no one speaking out besides the department heads that are presenting here this morning. But I'm with you. I'm hoping that we just move on and get on down the agenda. So I'll leave it at that. Thank
Well, and
you.
again, I appreciate your comments and, I mean, I'm not hearing, justification this time from our department on why this contract didn't come in a timely basis. And we couldn't have those discussions and it continues to occur. I've expressed this multiple times. It's our signature on that contract.
Yeah. And all
And if next time it's going to be something that you don't agree with, and you're going to have no choice other than to go into, some sort of negotiation with a company that's already been signed and you had no voice.
that part I agree with you on. And I've said it over the last couple of months that, okay, at least your comments have sparked that department heads are now bringing contracts. Could you imagine if you didn't say anything? Maybe we wouldn't get this one till a month later. And there's been other contracts that have been brought forward due to you speaking out on that. And I thought when you pulled it, I thought that's what you were going to talk about was to, hey, why is this so late? And that would match your open comments that hey, that's something that you stand strong on. And you know what? I agree with you on that part of it. Thank you.
Very good.
And
Dr. Lewis,
I'd like to assure the supervisor, this is probably the most challenging thing we're working on right now and have been for the last year. We were able to hire 2 really excellent staff who have been doing a wonderful job. And we have cut the percentage of our contracts that are retroactive down by about half. We still have a number, and I have been working with both county council and admin to work on the needs that we have in our department in order to make sure this isn't an ongoing process in the future. And they've been very supportive and helpful. So I do believe we're on the precipice of solving this problem, but we do recognize it's a significant problem.
Good, thank you. Chung, anything?
I guess just reiterate the program. It is a support group, a program that for individuals that need support system within individual that are facing mental issues or illness. So just want to point that out that under Mental Health Services Act, under Prevention and Early Intervention Program guideline, all counties are encouraged and recommended to reach out to all individuals within the county to utilize these funds to give support to individuals in the community. Just want to point that out too.
And I completely respect that, but I look at the war that's occurring, across this nation about personal responsibilities, choice. And, I just, when you include the word advance, that's a problem. I mean, you're advancing an idea. And when you look at our schools today, you look at society today, people that have no right to tell me how to raise my children, and quite frankly, hey, if they have this issue, if they're born with, a difference in the way, I don't want to call it normal, right? Because normal is not, I'm going to support them, but it's truly not your business to tell our family or to support an idea that may be counter to their life. And, I'm using schools today but I look at what's occurring in our government systems and trying to force this down, people's throats that don't have this issue. The word advance is a problem for me. So,
And Supervisor Pearson, I think you might be reading it in a way that we don't intend it. So it's possible that we could rewrite it if that would make you more comfortable. We are supporting human dignity and mental health and health.
Mhm.
And that is our intention.
yep. And that's my intention too, is to make sure that people need help no matter what they identify as. So.
Very good. Good discussion. Thank you very much. The item's been moved by Valley, seconded by Nevs. And we'll call for the question. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
No.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Let the record show 4 in favor, 1 no. Thank you very much. The item will move forward. Thank you very much. We'll now move to regular agenda items. First item does come from behavioral health regarding an agreement and services. Anchang.
Yes. Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. Unchang Perry, Behavioral Health. Department is also seeking approval of an agreement with Miss Jackie Jones C. Gentler for Family Support Group Services. This Family Support Group is one of 4, as we have mentioned previously, along with the Veteran Service Support Group that is funded by the county's Mental Health Services Act plan as prevention activities. The Family Support Group is a peer-level support group as well for any adult family members or loved one living with mental illness to provide support to their families and others among them. The support group is also to assist the group members in strengthening of the support system, coping skills, and development and implementation of all education goals they have set. The support group has been offered for more than a decade for the county. Ms. Jones Sigentler is a mental health professional who has worked with the department previously and providing group facilitator since 2017 with the department. The group meets every first and third Tuesday of the month at Behavioral Health in Hanford. Under this agreement, as a part of a MHSA plan, the department provides oversight of federal, state, and county contract guidelines. The term of the contract is retroactive from July 1, 2022 to June 30, 2025. The contract is retroactive due to, as we mentioned previously, the volume of the contract currently the department is managing, prioritizing other urgent contracts within a few months, addition to administration delay processing the contract along with the step shortage in the division. The contract agreement amount is $12,000 for each year. The revenue expenses were included in the department's 22-23 adopted budget in the budget unit 422200 Mental Health Services Act. The contract has been reviewed and approved by the county council as to form. Thank you.
Thank you, Anchang. Questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the September 15th, 2021 retroactive, that's not a typo? That's 2021 or 2022?
Retroactive July 1, 2022.
I'm looking at
The next one has the, you're,
Have another item. after.
yeah, you're talking about the next item. This one
Okay.
is the service agreement.
Okay, it might be out of order. Sorry about that.
Any
I
other
hope,
questions?
I hope that's a typo though on the next one because
We'll discuss that when I get.
Peterson's going to get on it.
Yeah, that's a discussion that'll happen later.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Are there any questions with the service agreement? Is there any questions or comments? This is an action item. Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion as presented.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Verboen, seconded by Fagundes. Additional questions, comments, or clarifications? Hearing or seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Let the record show that item stands approved, 5 in favor. And now, Anchang, you want to, or Katie, and are you going to take Katie's going to take it? All right, Katie. Thank you for, and she's going to present the subcontract agreement with Advocates for Human Potential. Morning.
Thank you, Chairman Nevs, Board of Supervisors, Katie Arns, Deputy Director with your Behavioral Health Department. I'm here to request your approval with an agreement with Advocates for Human Potential Incorporated for a mobile crisis planning process grant. And it would be retroactive from September 15th, 2021. Unfortunately, that is not a typo. Through February 14th of 2023, in addition to request your authorization for the Director of Behavioral Health to sign the agreement with AHP. A little bit of history. The Behavioral Health Department was awarded this grant by AHP that supports the development of mobilized crisis services here in Kings County. We came to your board a few weeks ago to request your approval on a grant from the California Health Financing Authority for my mobile crisis services that would be responding to both child welfare services and schools in the community. And this planning grant will allow the department to begin planning for an expansive mobile crisis system throughout Kings County, including the planning process, including our partners in law enforcement, the emergency room, probation, the sheriff's department, PDs, and any invested community members in this process. It's important to note that there have been no activities or funds expended by the department in regards to this agreement, and there will not be unless your board approves the agreement. It's retroactive due to the Advocates for Human Potential is a contractor of the Department of Healthcare Services. And so through the negotiating process for this agreement, there were several revisions that needed to be made, and that negotiating process had to go between the county to AHP to DHCS and then back to the county, which is what brings us here today, which is also why the department has not expended any funds in regards to this agreement as of yet. Other reasons that it is retroactive is due to, as Anchang shared, the volume of contracts that the Behavioral Health Department is managing and staffing shortages. This agreement is in the amount of $186,338 and was included in the department's fiscal year 22-23 adopted budget in budget unit 422-400. I'm available to answer any questions that you might have.
Good, thank you. Supervisor Booth?
So we had a previous discussion on the item earlier.
Yes.
Some of those services are in this contract as well, in section 12.
No.
Yes.
Oh, which services? I'm sorry.
Oh, data collection is in here, like second paragraph. So it seems like, I mean, we already provide some of the services already without identifying a special grant.
I am not data collection.
And it just says the same thing. So it's like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's kind of redundant. I mean, not redundant, but it, you know, in the future, it'd be nice to have it. We can kind of put us on the spot on some of the issues here. So it's in this one here. It's already identified. So
Each of the three agreements that we've brought today, sorry, thank you, have been separate agreements that are not linked together.
different people.
Different organizations. Advocates for Human Potential is a subcontractor of the Department of Healthcare Services. They serve counties throughout the state of California for the purposes of administering these grant funds, which are, I believe, Senate Bill 82 funds. So Advocates for Human Potential has no connection to either Ms. Jones Siegenthaler or the Source LGBT Plus Center.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hill, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman and fellow members of the board, this is a contract that is a state contract. Anytime you hear the acronyms DHCS, CDP, any state or federal contract, it's not uncommon for them to come this late. My department head's can attest to that. Anybody that deals with the state, they are always extremely late. It's maddening because they require us to do quick turnarounds, but they are often a year and sometimes even later with their contracts. It's pretty disappointing, but we will never be able to address the retroactivity of those contracts.
Very good. Thank you for pointing that out. Supervisor Peterson.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So one of the questions I have, this is a mobile crisis effort. So we're going to be taking a vehicle to, I don't know what schools, this vehicle.
The grant that we brought to your board a few weeks ago, that was the California Health Financing Facilities Authority, CHAFA grant, was for mobile crisis in response to schools and child welfare services. That does include the county purchasing a vehicle, and the department will be coming back to your board to ask for approval, which we noted a few weeks ago. This grant is for the department to work very closely with law enforcement, with the hospital, with child welfare services and the schools to develop what mobile crisis response could look like in the community 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So could include responding to individuals' homes, restaurants, stores, anywhere in the community parks. So we really envision that this will be a strong partnership with our partners in law enforcement, who have for a very long time been responding to potential psychiatric emergencies in the community. And we're really excited to bring everybody to the table to plan for what that crisis response can look like when we have additionally mental health professionals that are supporting our colleagues.
No, well, it just kind of gets to the core, and I guess maybe this isn't the time, but I'll just share it anyways. So we have a mobile crisis unit. You know, I mean, I can remember we used to have we still have the special education buses that, you know, kids jump on and you know, it's a different bus, right? So when that bus shows up, you know, and kids are kids. And so I'm just curious, when that vehicle, whatever it is, goes to a school site, how do you ensure the sanctity of that youth when he walks into that? Because if any child, you know, sees somebody walk into that vehicle, the stigma that's going to follow him and
Absolutely.
further challenge his life is going to be amazing.
Absolutely. And that is unfortunately what's happening today, as we have been over relying on our law enforcement partners to be that connection for individuals and crisis services in the community. And so it would be a part of our planning process to identify how we can be the most community responsive. Most likely, I would imagine those vehicles would not be county logoed vehicles, but just a standard vehicle that a contracted provider would be taking out into the community. And so I would imagine it would not be marked cars. Dr. Lewis, anything to add?
That's exactly right. We're trying to get away from law enforcement pulling up in front of a high school and a young person who's suicidal being put in the back of a squad car. So we don't want to do that anymore. And we're now at the place where we're able to expand our crisis services. So these grants came at a perfect time for us. And once we've worked with the community to understand exactly how they would like to have it set up, then we're going to be able to apply for additional funds, which we are then going to implement.
Okay. No, I just, you know, there's been a couple of different televised programs that have, you know, different jurisdictions that have implemented mental health officers on, you know, actual sheriff's departments. You know, I'm not saying that that's, you know, works here, but seems like the intervention, you know, when you get somebody that's in a mentally challenging state, that, you know, being trained to be able to talk them off the ledge and you know, have a better outcome. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you.
Additional questions or comments? This is an action item. Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Verboen, seconded by Valley. Thank you very much. Additional questions or comments? Hearing or seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes. Let the record show that item stands approved. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck. Next item comes from Public Works. We have 3 items. First item, plans and specs for Burris Park. Mitchell, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Mitchell Cabrera, Chief Engineer with Public Works, the Engineering Division. Before your board this morning to request the approval of the plans and specifications for the Burris Park and Hickey Park site improvement project, and also request authorization from your board so the department can authorize the project for construction. The scope of this project is to provide American with Disabilities Act improvements at both of the county parks. The improvements will be new ADA compliant concrete sidewalks. Hickey Park will receive a new alignment for a sidewalk. Burris Park will be a combination of new alignment and sidewalk and tying into the existing sidewalk. New curb ramps to allow access to the playgrounds, and also the removal and replacement of ADA parking stalls along with the markings and stripings in the parking for both parks. Estimated costs for this project, Hickey Park is estimated at $83,000 and Burris Park at $74,000 for a total of $157,000. On August 17th of 2021, the department entered into an agreement with QK Incorporated to prepare the plans, specifications, and estimates, and this has been completed. If approved by your board, the bids would open for construction on November 4th. Expected completion is 40 working days, so 2 calendar months, and we would be expected to start the project early next year if approved by your board. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mitchell. Questions, comments, concerns about the park improvements?
No question, no comments. I'm for approval.
Second.
Moved by Fagundes, seconded by Verboen. Additional questions or comments? Hearing or seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes. Let the record show that item stands approved. Thank you very much. Good luck. Next item, Dwayne, you want to talk about the truck?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members. Dwayne Cooper, County Road Superintendent. I am here on behalf this morning for Chris through Wards for a EM Tharp for a purchase of a Peterbilt, 3-axle Peterbilt dump truck, and Keller Motor for a F550 truck with a Celsi bed, for which would be our new assigned truck. The board has previously allocated the funds for these vehicles in the fiscal year 2022-23 budget. The purchase we have received 2 bids per truck. There's no physical impact to the general fund. If you have any questions, I will try to answer questions.
Very good. Thank you. Questions, comments, or concerns about the 2 vehicles?
One comment.
One comment?
Yeah, no, Dwayne, I hope the word got out to you, but I know on the board, we've all been very happy with the results of all your efforts on the sides of our roadways. I know in my area, I think it was expressed otherwise. They're in excellent condition, and you guys are killing it this year, with all of those, making sure that, there's no safety issues out there, and I just wanted to express my appreciation to you and your crew for everything you guys have accomplished this year.
Thank you.
And with that, move for adoption.
Moved by Peterson, seconded by Fagundes. Thank you very much. Additional questions, comments, or concerns? Got chrome wheels coming?
No.
No chrome wheels?
No,
Aluminum?
I don't think so.
Steel? Doug, you want to put flames on the side? Flames?
Good.
Got look what I could do.
Huh? Don't ask Rhonda. 'Cause she's gonna have steel.
I think aluminum wheel polish are great for the climate. Lighter weight, less stress on the road.
Oh,
Yeah.
flames on the side?
Yep.
American flag.
That wasn't part of the motion, so sorry. Any other discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley, Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Let the record show that item stands approved unanimous. It's probably in there, but I didn't read it. Dwayne, when are you gonna get it? When you take possession? No idea? I know it. So it's not sitting in the yard? Okay. Very good. Thanks. I know it. All right, Jim, you got the last one. You're going to finish up the trifecta.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Jim Henderson, Building Maintenance Superintendent. Public Works Department recommends the county to acquire Train USA for an renewal service. And what that would do, that'd be they'd go through and rebuild our 2 county chillers, and those 2 chillers are the main HVAC for the whole government center. And what it would do, it'd bring them, we've had them since 2009, and we do an annual PM. But this would bring them back up to like new condition. They would be warranted again. The compressors would be viewed as new. There is no fiscal impact to the general fund. This was adopted in the 22-23 fiscal year. And it is for the amount of $195,794. And it'll come from capital outlay project number 070045 and account number 94006. This service agreement has been reviewed and approved as to form by county council. If you have any questions, try to answer them.
Thank you, Jim. Questions, comments, or concerns about the chillers?
I'll second. I think it's good we get this done before it could be 115-degree day and they all go out.
Yeah, and that's our goal, is to hit it over the Christmas closure, kind of through the winter.
They will go out, so.
You think?
Yeah.
The item's been moved by Fagunda, seconded by Verboen. Additional questions or comments? Hearing or seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboen, Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard
Yes.
Fagundes.
Let the record show, they must want an air conditioner, Jim. You think that?
Thank you, guys.
Good luck on the project. No change orders. With that, we'll move to administration and take up 2 items. First item is we're going to talk dark garbage. Organic garbage, but it's still garbage.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Matthew Boyette, Kings County Administration. So I'm before your board this morning for the second reading of our organics, waste, and recycling and edible food recovery ordinance. I was first before your board on September 20th for an introduction and first reading of our initially drafted ordinance, but came back a week later on September 27th with a revised ordinance due to some feedback that we had received from some of our haulers and our JPA there, Kings Waste and Recycling. So we went ahead and incorporated all of the feedback that we possibly could to still kind of make the ordinance conducive to our haulers and KWRA's operation, as well as clear up some confusion for our generators and the constituents here in the county. So with that, last week I brought the revised ordinance before your board for the first reading. And so I'm before your board this morning for the second reading. And just wanted to note that when I was here before you last week, up until as I stand here this morning, I've received no additional feedback from any of our haulers and or any of our constituents. So all of the feedback that we have received in the office to date is incorporated in the ordinance before you this morning. So
Thank you, Matt. Questions, comments, or concerns? I think Supervisor Verboen wanted you to read it. So have you been practicing?
I've got it up right here and I drank lots of coffee this morning and I'm full of hot air, so I'm ready to go. So
Supervisor Valley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Matthew. So when you say that there hasn't been any feedback from haulers in the last week or constituents, were you proactive in reaching out to them? I mean, there's a lot of discussion. Last Tuesday, there were some questions. I know I put some questions to you. I didn't catch any of the answers to them yet. But are you telling us that as of right now, today, that you would think that the companies involved and providers would feel that this is the best possible situation we could be in as far as preparedness by the county to move forward on this requirements of this bill?
yeah, so I didn't, to your first point, I didn't proactively reach out to them and distribute the ordinance to all of the haulers and say, this is what's been revised, please review it, provide any additional feedback. But just knowing our haulers, they're very proactive themselves. They're very on top of this and are very much aware of what is before them. They've been very supportive this entire time in providing feedback and kind of guiding us along. We did receive the early comments there from several haulers, and then the comments last Tuesday from Truly Trash, American Refuse there.
So as written, this ordinance, would you say that it's 100% compliant at this time with SB 1383?
I will defer to council's office that drafted it, but up to, my knowledge, we kind of incorporated as much of the changes as we possibly could, but still remain fully compliant with SB 1383 and get the best of both worlds.
And I will opine on that. Yes, my office has reviewed it. We have been involved in the changes that were made, and we did not make any changes that would make the ordinance deficient as to legal form. So the ordinance is the county's best application of the requirements of the law.
Okay, because I know some of the issues go back to self-haul issues, illegal dumping issues, again, all of which was discussed over the last 2 weeks at length. And so I want to make sure that we are ready to move forward versus, putting this back another week to give opportunity for further discussion. So under the issue of self-haul and reading through this and from my old notes, so would you say that there's now the removal of any undue financial burden to those customers in the county that aren't going to go under the title of self-haul? Because the first version that you brought, there was questions on whether when you start talking about folks that want to identify themselves as self-haul, that there would still be a financial burden to other folks around the county that aren't looking to put themselves under that.
So the fee structure that is mentioned in the ordinance, the actual fees aren't explicitly spelled out in there. The way it's written, to my understanding, is that the ordinance references the county's master fee schedule, which will be adopted by your board, later on this year, early next calendar year. So that way, when those fees change, or if those fees change, they don't impact the ordinance in any way to where we have to come back and now revise the ordinance because we changed an aspect, similar to the way of what Supervisor Neves mentioned last week about the definitions, just basically pointing and referencing Cal Recycle's definitions. And so as they change, our ordinance automatically changes. So as far as the fees for self-hauling versus those that elect to procure service, it's going to be outlined in our master fee schedule, which.
Okay, but it's third week in a row that you're at the podium.
Correct.
And so the question I'm asking at this point, could you give a yes or a no?
As to if there's going to be undue financial burden to those that
Yes.
self-haul.
That do not decide to identify themselves as self-haulers, but picking up some of that financial burden from those that do.
Can you define your question a little bit? I'm having a hard time understanding which
Well, you just
generator
tried
you're
to
talking
answer it
about.
for the last minute. Okay, so when we first started off.
Yes.
Okay, there seemed to be questioning, at least from my notes and from my recall of my memory, that when you start talking about customers that are going to now identify themselves as self-haulers, so they don't get charged or fall under this ordinance, that there would be some unfair financial burden to the other folks that are now going to be paying upwards of over $100 extra annually because we're changing this county policy here. So again, going back to it, and my next question is going to be on fines. So it's probably going to be under the same level that I'm coming at you right now. So is this evenly spread, or is there going to be people picking up and paying for other people because they want to identify themselves as self-haulers?
So although the exact structure hasn't been finalized yet, the initial thought process was those that elect to self-haul versus those that elect to procure service would have a different rate structure because those two generators would require more services of the county that the county would actually have to incur to actually do the things outlined in SB 1383 in accordance with this ordinance here. So to say what the exact dollar amount is of those that are electing to self-haul versus those that are electing to procure service, I don't have any final numbers for you yet because that's still being finalized to be brought later. And to your point of if any undue burden is going to be placed on any individual based on somebody else's actions, whether they elect to self-haul or something, it's the way it was initially laid out was we have a number of generators that we're responsible for, and of that, we're trying to identify how many of those individuals we think are self-hauling based on contact with our vendors, our haulers that we know that they're accounting for. And so we're trying to get a general idea of what those numbers look like and see what the workload on the county is going to look like and what resources the county is going to need. And then come up with an equitable fee structure to where it's, it's equal for all. So those that are requiring less county services will, not be assessed as much as those that are requiring more of a strain on the county resources.
Yes or no?
Well, the ultimate,
Yes or no?
the ultimate responsibility falls on us because if they don't use the service, then it falls on, and I say us, the Board of Supervisors, right?
Correct.
Because we're going to enforce the fines, but that basically falls on the people of Kings County, right? So
That we haven't decided on if the county is assessed any kind of non-compliance fine or fee through CalRecycle. It hasn't been decided on how that will be administered, so to speak. I mean, that's going to obviously be up to the decision of your board to
Okay,
determine.
so the only reason I'm asking you these questions, one, isn't to target you.
Sure.
Okay, I'm trying to get to a point of comfort here because it's been on the agenda the last 3 weeks. And I was hopeful that from the amount of discussion last week that we wouldn't see it again today. I don't understand why it's back on again today. There's a lot to digest here. We should have been given at least a 2-week time period here. There's a lot going on last week. Everyone had busy calendars. It's a lot to digest here. And what I'm trying to do is ask you point blank questions so I could see where we're at as far as the confidence level here. Okay, so I can't get a yes or no on something that's very important. People are going to identify themselves as self-haulers. Okay, and then how are we going to find out that they're not going to the dump once a week or they're not going to the dump at least 2 times a month, right? And so that's important to me. And then there was discussion on fines. So if I'm Super Boone's neighbor and I'm constantly putting things in the blue can that's not supposed to be, so at this point in the ordinance, when it comes to assessing fines, will I be able to be targeted as the one being non-compliant, or as Supervisor Boone is my neighbor, would the fine be like on a whole street to try, like, is that the best we can narrow it down? And Supervisor Boone has to pay my fine because I'm being a knucklehead.
Yeah, no, I mean, his non-compliance isn't going to affect you as a
mine.
neighbor.
Mine.
Right, and vice versa, and that's going to,
About me.
and so there is regulations and requirements in SB 1383 and the ordinance that requires our haulers to do waste characterizations and route reviews and evaluations to ensure that the loads that they're taking are compliant with all of the things as far as, what's being labeled as compost or recycle. And they have a couple different methods to their disposal to figure out if they do have a contaminated load. They can try their best to backtrack that to a specific street and maybe a specific generator. And then we'll go through the process of, educating that generator. Hey, we noticed that you had some, items in your can that
So
didn't.
who's responsible to assess the fine, the county or the hauling service? Under this, it would be the county, right?
Correct.
So I'm asking if we are at that point.
To assess fines today?
Yes, well, you're asking for this to be passed and in 30 days become county law.
You should just go ahead and read the whole thing.
No,
So,
I'm trying to make it easy and ask them yes or no questions
Correct.
at the same time, but
There's no yes or no question, answer
So-
on any of this.
this is going to go back to some of our discussion last week. This is going to be housed in our public health department that will be responsible for kind of monitoring this and kind of rolling this out. So once this goes into effect, once we have, everything in place over there, we can go ahead and, assess at that point. But right now, the vision that we've laid out is, we don't want to get to a point where we're just assessing fines all over the place. It's going to be a lot of education, a lot of outreach. We're all learning this together. And so our fines to the county don't technically start from Cal Recycle until 2024, when we receive fiscal fines and penalties. So there's time between now and when basically the hammer drops to where we can get to a point to make sure everybody understands and is comfortable and compliant with what we're doing here.
Two more things, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. So then going back to last week then and then fast forward to today, where you at in terms of my concerns that I spoke to you about publicly in regards to the two full-time employees, the cost to the county and how that could be minimized? Because as you pointed out last week, very honestly, but still disappointing to my ears, that the two full-time county employees would be paid for on the backs of the residents of Kings County because we're having to impose this new county ordinance. So where are you at on that? Have you identified any possible savings? I imagine you've given it some thought since you're back here today.
Absolutely.
Let me
Yeah.
know.
Since your comments last week, I have reached out to the Director of Public Health, and we have been discussing those fees and the structure of those fees and how we can start addressing some of those comments made. So that way, when we come before your board with the master fee schedule, we can incorporate as much of that as possible and take those into account. So those
But
conversations.
no language has changed since last week to today in regards to that.
Can I comment on that, please? Because we are here for the second reading. If language did change with respect to that, then we would have to go back for a first reading. So procedurally, we don't have the luxury of changing between a first and a second reading. The ordinance before you today is exactly the same as the ordinance that was before you last week by necessity. If the board directs further changes, then we can make those changes, but we'll have to bring it back for a
Well, I
first
thought that I
reading.
did that last week when I asked about it. That was the time for discussion, and so I'm asking, were my comments wasted? Because now we're just here today and locked in, and it's part of the fiscal impact to our decision-making here today. It's outlined. in
I
the
don't
memo.
think your comments were wasted, and I apologize, but I think what we agreed is that the timeline is such that this is going to be a working document, and we're going to have to probably address things like this in the future and as they come about. And so we agreed to move forward with a policy to meet the timeline demands, so we weren't fined for being late in submitting our plan. And like most things, it's a working document, and we have the right to come back and modify it at any time. So
Thank you, Sue. And I'm there in agreement on that, but I want to pass the best working document today to make sure that people don't have to keep paying more. I mean, we're all hearing, we can't turn on the TV right now and see campaign commercials about everyone being angry about some kind of tax or paying more right now in a time of inflation. And here we are. Feels like we're rushing to put something out to say, this is not the best version Kings County can do today, but don't worry, give us time. And as the clock is ticking, so is your money. I would like to be at a better position here. And so, I don't know, when do we get to talk about the fiscal impacts then of the two employees if we can't today? If we pass this, are we locked into that?
This isn't.
Hill, you want to address that?
No.
Well, we'll let Mr. Hill and then Diane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's several processes in play here, and I'll ask my colleagues to go ahead and step in if I misspeak or don't understand something completely. One is passing the ordinance to meet the letter of the law. That's a requirement that we have to do to meet the letter of the law. The agenda item that you have and the fiscal impact is a best guess. It's a budget, which is subject to change. as reported, we have to come back with a master fee schedule. At that point, your board will have the opportunity to ask questions about what cost-cutting measures do we take? Do you agree with the fee schedule? Do you need it changed? So there is that piece there, and that's part of an annual process. So you do have that opportunity there. The drive today, again, is to get the ordinance passed so that we don't fall under the hammer of the state for not meeting the guidelines or the requirements. And just for historical purposes, if you recall, we had a study session on this item many months ago, and the decision was to go to free choice instead of a zoned process to have our constituents have that choice.
Yeah, but if you recall, under that meeting, we flip-flopped because we're all learning. And we're still learning even just a little bit more today than we even knew last Tuesday. We started off going one way, and then in the middle of the discussion, after I think we heard from a hauler, we heard from somebody, we flipped on our way of thinking because, and no fault to us, because we're being asked to learn a lot. I mean, honestly, I don't know if everyone knows this, but I just learned this the other day. I think I'm doing the right thing. Do you think you're doing right when you put the pizza box in the blue can? Because I sure do. I always thought, all right, let me take the pizza box, put it in the blue can.
There's a fine.
Yeah, yeah. Because if there's pizza grease on the pizza box, then now you contaminated the cardboard and it can't be recycled. And we're supposed to put it in the black can or we could get fined. And something that simple, I guarantee our constituency, the majority of them, well, a lot of them are smarter than us, so they probably know, but I guarantee there's people that don't know that because I sure didn't. No.
You're talking the box or the pizza? Both.
Oh, yeah. So that's the point that I'm making, Mr. Chair, and Mr. Boyette, you're doing a good job. You have this placed on you. I'm not trying to pick on you, please. I know when I get going, I can sound a little bit like I'm coming at you, but I'm not. And I try to tell you that last week. Is just you're the only reference that I have at this time is we're talking publicly. And so, Mr. Chair, all I would ask for is another week to bring this back to allow for more discussion, maybe reaching out to Ms. Boyette during the week or working with Ed during the week, because I'm sure not ready today on this.
Diane, do you want to talk about that since this is the second reading for this ordinance?
Yes, now the board.
Employed in January?
The board can certainly do that. It would cause further delays. I know that there's been correspondence with the state about the delay that we've already experienced, so it would cause further delays, and Matt might have more information about the actual consequences of the delay. Let me speak procedurally. If we do want to make changes from the ordinance as it is, then we would need to go back to an initial reading. We could incorporate whatever changes the board directs, but then we would have to go back to a first reading, and then we would have to meet again for a second time to do a second reading and the adoption of the ordinance. So procedurally, that's where we are. Matt, do you want to speak to the consequences of further delay?
Sure. So we have our Senate Bill 619 application submitted to the state, outlining a date in which the ordinance will be passed. That got pushed back a week based on what's transpired since September 20th with the reintroduction of the first reading based on the amendments and revisions to our initial ordinance. After that meeting, I did have a meeting with CalRecycle and let them know that we had a slight delay and that basically everything that the ordinance impacts kind of gets pushed back a week. They went ahead and updated our plan accordingly to account for that. So I'm just now waiting for the final version of our corrective action plan from the state that formalizes and outlines those dates. I talked to them last week. They were still waiting on word from CalRecycle on the waste characterization piece that I mentioned earlier. So I haven't got the final version yet. Once we do get the final version, the county will have an opportunity to review that to see if there's any other things we want to change before they basically red stamp it and call it final. And then that's what we kind of work off of from that point. So if it is the appetite of the board to bring this back later, I'll get in touch with CalRecycle accordingly and let them know and see about getting that date altered accordingly.
Are there pros to having CalRecycle having this reviewed, this acts where it stands right now, the language? are the pros of having Cal Recycle review it and having their quote stamp of approval before we vote.
You mean to have Cal Recycle approve our county
Yeah.
ordinance?
The language in here, make sure our definitions are good, our language is good, the intent, meeting the letter of law, all that good stuff.
I've never heard of that before, but I could definitely reach out to our liaison there at the state and see if they have a willingness to do so.
Dominic Taberski, Public Works. I might caution against that. We've had scenarios where Cal Recycle has directed us to do certain things. When we've pushed back and questioned, where does it say in the law we have to do this? They tend to come back and say, it's actually not in the law. That's okay. Go ahead and do it the way you want. So that would be my concern with that. I might be able to answer some of your other questions if you'd like me to attempt at that.
So could I just ask
Yes.
quickly on the timeline? Within the policy that was sent down, what was the drop dead date for implementation?
Yeah, so our initial drop dead date to have our second reading was September 27th, which was last week. That got put in with our ordinance adoption being 38 days after that, October 27th. So that got pushed back a week, which Cal Recycle was fine with. I kind of let them know what had happened and what had transpired. They were fine with just, that taking place. And so now, as of our last meeting, the timeline that I've laid out with Cal Recycle is having the second reading today, and then the ordinance being in full effect 30 days from today. So if that plan changes based on your board's direction, I'll need to go back to Cal Recycle and get that kind of blessed by them, so to speak. So.
Mr. Chair, I'll end.
Supervisor Verboen.
So, this is a lot of comments here, but, we have to get this second reading done. We have to pass it. There's a lot of things uncertainty in the future. We don't know how this is going to work. We don't know how it's going to play out until we get it implemented. We don't know what we're going to do. We don't know who it's going to affect, how much food process. We don't know anything until we start doing it. I just say we get on with it, get moving on it. I was against it from the beginning, not from the staff part of it, but the fact that we keep getting all these input, these government rules pushed down on us constantly. In DC, they talk about PFAS, which is the biggest problem with landfill, which is talking about pizza boxes and coffee cups. Not identified here. So we just need to get started, get this, make it work, fit our community. It doesn't affect the whole community, it's part of it, right? So
Yeah.
We'll just get it nailed down, and all of that, I'll make a motion to accept the second reading.
If I may, the agenda item actually says recommendation is to waive the second reading. I'd like to recommend that we additionally approve the ordinance, waive the second reading and approve the
Make a
ordinance.
motion to approve the ordinance and waive the second reading.
I thought you were going to make him read it.
We could have had it read already.
Exactly. And then that would put you to sleep. You wouldn't have any more questions. Supervisor Valley.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think it's time well spent though, because I think if anything that we've all agreed on is we care more about being in the hot seat with the residents and our constituents of Kings County than we are with the state. In this case, we seem to be more worried about the state and being in their hot seat than what our constituents are going to think, how they're going to feel, and how it's going to impact their wallets right now in this time. And so at this point, that's where all my questions are coming from. And I don't feel comfortable that we are putting them first at this time. We're basically saying, let's do this, let's move forward. We don't know the impacts. We just know they're not going to be good. And to our only good point is that, yeah, do we have a choice? It seems like no, it's not something that one of us came up with and our idea to go do this. But still, to me, that's the line in the sand gets drawn somewhere. And I guarantee when it gets drawn and when this hits the Hanford Sentinel after the fact, Ms. Boyette's not the one that's going to get phone calls, neither is Ed Hill. It's going to be us, and the buck stops with us. And we're not going to be able to say, well, Senator so-and-so or Assembly Member so-and-so, they passed this, call them. They're going to catch us.
But it's a small community in our district, and we'll work with them closely. Identify how we can make it fit their lifestyle.
Yeah, I get it. Your concerns and I think we all have concerns, but I also believe there's a level of professionalism that we need to respond with and whoever we're dealing with, whether it's the public or a state agency. And I think Matthew has done a great job at expressing, our challenges, and they've been accepting of that. And I just think we really belabor that relationship by changing our word. We didn't really mean that. We want another week. And then, it raises eyebrows. And I think that, believe me, I'm not a mandate guy, but no, I don't think most of us are, but in this case, I think, professionally, we've allowed, input from all. We understand their concerns, and we move forward and make sure that, as much as we can, that, we get it right. And if we don't get it right today, then we come back and we fix it. And
It's a bad position. As much as I've asked questions, I have to vote yes today if there's a second to move forward, because again, why should I vote no when I know probably the majority of everyone wants to vote no, but we can't. So I'm not gonna play that.
But we can
card.
give our word that we'll work with
Stand
the
down.
people that are affected and fine tune it to adjust our lifestyle to make sure they're not, no money out of their pocket.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chair, just lastly on that end then, so then when will be the time to be able to talk about the two employees and the model even? Because the model structure is something I think we might be able to save money with, meaning why would they have to be under the umbrella of the county? Why not at King's Waste and Recycling, and us possibly just funding those positions over there and having people there who are already in that environment, don't have to worry about middlemen sending data. We don't have to worry about remodeling offices and buying equipment. So I know you don't want us talking too much on that. So when is that time?
Supervisor Valley, through the chair, we can bring back an agenda item to focus solely on that, as well as any suggestions that you may have moving forward. And then again, that will also be built into any rate structure as part of our normal process. So we'll have multiple opportunities.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know I took up a lot of time. Thank you.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I get overtime today?
No.
Okay.
It has been moved by Verboen, seconded by Peterson. Thank you very much. Matthew, would you like to close? Anything you want to have for closing comments?
That should do it.
Very good. Thank you. You sure you don't want to read it?
I'm ready if you are.
There's a few words in there I couldn't figure out.
I think
so
there's 37
read
pages. if I'm
them.
not
I was looking
mistaken.
forward to your pronunciation. If there are no other questions or comments, all discussion is ceased. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Let the record show that item stands approved, and thank you very much.
Should have gave us symbolic no. We should have given that.
The second item that comes from administration is a discussion about an interim economic and workforce development director. Mr. Hill, you want to kick off the discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today, we're seeking confirmation for the appointment of Mr. James Salyer, J, as the interim economic workforce development director effective September 28th, 2022, and set the compensation at $10,000 a month. On August 30th, 2022, the acting director resigned from this position with an effective date of October 3rd, 2022. In order to ensure continued operations, your board offered Mr. Salyer the position of interim director, which he accepted. Today's action is to confirm that appointment. Mr. Salyer has been with the county since 1998 and has been the acting economic development manager the entire time of his employment. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I do recall Mr. Salyer saying he wanted to defer his comments till now.
Yeah. Did he have any references?
Just one.
Just one? Oh, yeah. Yeah. That one. Questions or comments? Concerns? Moved by Fagundes,
Mr. Chair.
Second.
seconded by Verboen. Thank you very much.
Question, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Sorry.
ahead.
The monthly rate of 10,000 a month, I know we've always just been trying to be fair to say whatever the department head was getting paid, that we just match that in fairness. Does that number match up, or is Ms. Salyer expected to get paid less than what Mr. Lippincott was being paid.
That is the low end of the band for that classification. Mr. Lippincott was being paid more than that. I don't have that number right off the top of my head, and that is, of course, up to the discretion of your board.
Yes. Yeah, I don't understand that, why we just didn't match that, in all fairness.
It's my understanding that when an interim has been appointed historically, that the board has given the low level of the salary band. When there's an actual appointment, a final appointment of a director, then that's further negotiations within the salary band. But the interim generally comes in at the low end of the salary band.
Okay, then maybe that's what I'm confused of then. So as long as we historically have done that, and then we're being fair to Mr. Salyer, then that's what we're saying here. Okay. And then lastly, sir, I want to make sure I have your cell number, because Mr. Lippincott, he'll tell you that probably most of us was reaching out a lot. And I'm serious here right now with that $6 million out there on the small business grant. We have businesses that are constantly asking, hey, can you just find out where my application is in line? And Lance was very helpful in that. And so I just want you to know what my expectations are with you as well, that I'm probably going to be bothering you a lot over the next couple of months on that. I hope you're okay with that.
411.
411.
I didn't hear a voice vote.
Pocket veto.
Is there anyone else here that wants the job?
Jay, any comments you want to make? I'll give you the floor. Okay, thank you very much. You noticed that, huh?
I just, Jay Salyer, One Stop Job Center. I guess I'm now the interim director.
We haven't voted yet, so yeah. So be careful on your comments.
Thank you.
Oh.
Okay, I'll stand.
No. You want to wait till it's official?
Yes, please.
Okay. It's been moved by Fagundes, seconded by Verboen. Any other discussion? Yeah, you're right. You probably should vote before you talk.
Wait,
Will the clerk?
is there singing involved?
There could be. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Boy, there was 2 delays.
That's the most pondering I've seen.
I know, all morning. Now it's official. Jay, would you like to address the board?
I just want to say thank you for having faith in me. I am humbled, and I've been humbled since I started in this position. Every day I've been humbled. I have a couple of my 2 main priorities are to continue the smooth running of both offices and to prepare both offices for my replacement whenever that may come. So, and I plan on working very closely with that person and probably, if necessary, teach them as much as I can about economic development. And everybody else on the JTO side is teaching me everything they know about workforce. So it's been good so far. We've already had some challenges, and everybody's risen to the occasion. I do want to say that I want to thank Lance Lippincott for doing an amazing job. He was great to work with. I miss him as a boss, and I miss him as a person. Gonna miss him.
Very good.
Thank you.
You want to talk about your event at the end of the month? The dinner, annual dinner?
Oh, the annual. That is coming up.
That is coming up. That'll
Yes,
be your first goal.
Thursday the 27th, we're having our annual dinner, and it's going to be out at the fairgrounds in not the grape room, it's the wine garden, I think.
I believe so.
And we're moving right along. We're also composing the annual report at the same time. September and October are always interesting months for us around our office. Everything seems to happen right at the same time. So we're obviously hoping that you'll all show up for it. You always add so much to it. So we're hoping we'll get a nice crowd and should be a fun evening.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, could I just
Yeah.
comment to, one, thank you, Ms. Schaller, for stepping up. It is a crucial time. There's never a good time probably to leave, albeit when Ms. Lippincott left. We're on a very critical time right now. So in your opinion, is everything still going smooth with the, as far as processing the grant applications for the small business grants and getting that money out there to those business owners?
Well, there's always some challenges with it because the level of personnel is, we're always being pressed for time. But we're rolling through them. We've got some help from the county admin now with that process. So I'm thinking probably in the next week or so, we should have quite a few checks rolling out. So
All right.
that's my hope.
All right, thank you for that. And thank you, please relay the thanks to your staff as well, because we know it's a team effort and we're all counting on everybody over there. You heard the gentleman talk earlier from Hanford on how impactful this is, a positive impact to city of Hanford and all of Kings County, and there's not any room for hiccups right now.
That's
So
right.
you got a lot on your shoulders right now. So,
I can feel it, yes.
all right. And I will need your cell number. So, all right.
I'll give it to you before I leave.
All right, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. All right, Jimmy, man, the one day a year he dresses up. And the next item is a study session regarding the 2021 ag crop report.
Yeah, it's probably more like 3 times a year.
Yeah.
This is the big one. So. Now, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Jimmy Hook, the Agricultural Commissioner Sealer for Kings County. I'm honored here to be able to present to you the 2021 county crop report. And I want to be mindful that although this is 2021, it's not retroactive. into play. And a lot of work goes into this and it takes a long time to compile all this information. So that's why it does go out a little bit further. And, our due date with CDFA, comes into play about mid-October. So we're a little bit early. It was a little bit later this year. We ran into some hiccups, but we're happy to get it out in time. And it's always a big endeavor by the department to get all this information together. I'd like to start out by thanking all the producers, their employees, and the department staff, for their contributions to compiling this report. Without them, we wouldn't be able to put this together. It's instrumental in being able to get all this information from them and get it into a good report that gets some information in a kind of a digestible platform. The gross value of all crops and products was up 7.5% this year, and it came out to a total of $2,343,144,000. And so it's an increase of just under $163 million from the 2020 value. So for 2021, the top 10 commodities are milk at just under $723 million, pistachios at just under $268 million, almonds at just over $190 million, cotton at just over $190 million, cattle and calves at just over $172 million, and then rounding out the bottom was processing tomatoes, silage corn, walnuts, poultry, and alfalfa hay. So pretty close to the same commodities as last year. A few switches in the order. Some of the categories which we saw increases were in fruit and nut crops, and this was mostly due to the nut, and it was increase in bearing acreage, production, and higher prices of almonds and pistachios. Also in field crops, livestock and poultry saw increases due largely to higher prices. So across the board, we did see some higher prices, and even though there might have been some reduction in acreages, that kind of helped even it out and gave us a little bit of an increase. Also in apiary products, with that increased acreage of nuts, we did see a higher number of pollinated acres. So that helped out there. Like I mentioned before, many categories showed it because of the unit values did go up across the board pretty much. One of the decreases we saw was in seed crops. It had a decrease mostly the large, fewer acres planted. We don't have a large amount of seed crops, so one grower going out, makes a pretty big hit to it. I think it was down, 40 or 50%. I'd also like to thank, Shauna Robbins is here from our department and Mario Gutierrez. They really diligently work on this report and there's a lot of time involved with it. I walk by the office and Shauna's just in there with spreadsheets and multiple screens up and just getting everything figured out. And, I get the luxury of looking at it after she's done all the hard work. And, it really is a great effort on both of their parts. Special thanks this year, we're dedicating the crop report to Steve Sweisser. He was a big part of this crop report for a number of years. he was instrumental in the department. You know, he was around, you know, before any of us. You know, I think, you know, way prior to Mario even, and Mario's been with the department. You'll find out in about a month of his years of service, but, you know, just instrumental in it. And when he left the department, he set it up in a way that it was something that anyone could pick up. And Mario's done a fantastic job of taking that ball and running with it. You know, but again, Steve, you know, really was instrumental in this and really helped out, left it in a great spot. So we'd like to dedicate the report to him for that work and also for his years of service in the department. And then also the information for all of our crop reports dating back to 1941 are available on our website. So if you guys ever get some free time, want to go back and see what happened in 1941, it's on there. You guys can check it out. It was very, look at the crop report then and now, it's a lot different. It was a very minimal report. We do a little bit more now, and there's some counties that get really involved, but it's, you know, we don't have the staff to quite get that far into it. We need probably a graphic guy or something. I don't know if we can get that passed. Also, there's gonna be some copies on the back table if anyone would like to take one on their way out for anyone in the audience. And I'm available for any questions or comments. If I can't answer them, I got Mario I can put in.
Very good. Mario, you're up, buddy. Any questions, comments, or concerns of the crop report?
No, thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate it. If you look at the table and towards the back about we made 2.4 billion in income off 890,000 acres. You compare that to Monterey, we have more value per acre than most any other county. So we have something off in the state of California, so that's pretty important.
Yeah.
I also, like I talked to you in the past, I'd really be cool to tie this to the amount of water use so we can prove that we're not the problem. That would be cool. I know it's all volunteer, but that would be nice to know that, you know, we can show that to someone higher up in the government saying, you know, here we are, highest and best use of water goes to food, feeding the world right here, and we're making the best use of our ground. So thank you again. Thank you, staff.
Thank you. And you make a great point, you know, as far as the value per acre, you know, we get a little bit glossed over because we're surrounded by some big ag powerhouses, but, you know, we do a lot of good work in Kings County and there's a lot of good growers and, you know, have some good programs that put out some great production and get some good values.
No, you keep everybody in line. I know you keep me in line too. We always push the envelope, but keep everybody safe. Highest and safest crop produced right here in California, and safe to the growers and safe to the workers too.
Yeah, definitely. Big goal of ours.
And Mr. Chairman, what is I'm looking at that same chart. What does it mean when I see you have us ranked number 8? Does the state ranks us, and what do they rank us by gross value?
Yeah, it's gross value. It's just ranking in the number of the gross value of the products over the state.
So the state ag commissioner ranks each county?
It's going to be the value of the crops produced in that county. And so you'll see a lot of times Slurry, Fresno, Kernel, we're vie for number 1, and then we get knocked down by the amount of our values.
Okay. Well, we're in the top 10. That's out
we're
of
in the top
58,
10
out of 58 counties.
Yeah, consistently stay there. And like I said, you know, geographically smaller county, you know, for some of the big ones. So it's nice to be there.
And we've been hit with less acres being farmed too.
Yeah, I'm with you. We should leverage this in the water discussion. That's an excellent point. And then this actually costs money, right? So
yeah,
if someone how much is it? About $100 or? If someone wanted to go buy this?
It's free.
It's free?
Yeah, we provide it.
Online.
It's mandated. We're mandated to produce this report by the CDFA. You know, so we put the information into it and it's free to the public.
Good. I thought we charged for that.
No, we put it online digitally. If someone wanted a paper copy, if they come to the office, we'll print one out for them. Most of the money is going into the producing of it. So I don't think we'd ever get that back out of them. They might turn around and run.
Yeah.
I see with the public release of your crop report, Wall Street is juggling right now in the stock market. So
it's jumping. Yeah, you should have got in early.
Yeah.
Or got out early, depending on how you look at it.
Any other questions?
Good work, Jim.
Thank you.
My only complaint is on the weights and measures. I think over there at the health clinic that the county has, that scale's weighing heavy. So if we can send somebody over there to try to get that resolved, because there's no way I can weigh that much.
If you can put a couple stickers over the load cells, that might help you out.
Very good, yeah. And I also, my primary care doctor in Lemoore, I think his scales are broke too, because they're weighing way too heavy.
Get a hold of me and we'll get them on the list.
Very good, thank you.
You just put up the scale.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate everything you do as well.
Appreciate it. And thank Mario. Thank you your whole staff. I know this is a group effort and it takes a lot of time to assemble all of this, and certainly thank you for all your service.
Yeah, you all.
Thanks. That concludes all of the items on this morning's agenda. We'll now move to board member announcements or reports on their own initiative. Supervisor Peterson.
I'm good. Thank you.
You good? Supervisor Verboen.
No, thank staff, thank Christine Olivera for her help with the conference we had. I think it was very successful, and thanks for all those who attended. We hadn't had one in 3 years with all 9 counties, and we got done. We had a meeting afterwards, and everybody's excited to do it again. I think the next turn is going to be Kern County, but Madera County is excited, and they took it up, and they'll take care of it. And so they're going to work it out. And so thank Ed and your staff as well. Everybody did a great job. It was nice to know.
Very good. And I'd like to echo
What I
that.
remember.
Yeah. You wanted to report on the golf tournament and the bowling?
The golf tournament, Supervisor Peterson, myself, and Dennis Townsend and his wife from Tulare were on the team. We got 3rd place. First place team was cheating. And the 2nd place team was a good group. It was Tulare County and a couple of the vendors. So I think we had 5 teams, 6 teams.
Yeah.
But it went long. It took us like 5 hours. But we didn't get there till late. And the bowling was good. In my group, I got 2nd place. I got beat by Jay Varney from Tulare County, Madera County CAO by like 6 points. I haven't bowled in 40 years, so it was good. I don't know how Craig did that.
Well, I would say style points. I think probably Ed Hill got the best style points. He had the best.
I wasn't on the golf course.
No.
Bowling alley.
Oh, bowling. Oh, yeah.
But he
Sorry.
got beat by Natalie
Oh,
Doherty.
demolished.
Actually, I was.
How about the pizza?
Hey, I
Most
tell you
pizza.
what, the food there was amazing.
Yeah.
That's been my first time there to the bowling alley. And the pizza, the sandwiches, the everything that they provided, quesadillas, it was excellent food. Good. It was good to be there and good to see that, that's available in Kings County. And, I don't know if I've got an event with my kids or something. That'd be the first place I'd
They're going to
go.
be done March of 23. Correct. They said yes last night.
On what, the whole model?
Yeah. And they're going to have a big celebration.
In
50 years,
Yeah, 40.
40 years.
Wow. Yeah, and 20.
They want to have it done before that.
Correct. Yeah. And that was outsourced prior to COVID. And since COVID has kind of taken a back seat, they have done that internally. So that's all done through the culinary system through the palace. So it's all under one. It's pretty amazing. Supervisor Valley?
I also just want to say good job to everybody. Anytime the county can host something successfully, I know that's a lot of work they did. I only attended on the second day, but you can tell there's a lot of work that goes into that, and it's not easy.
You might have got called out about midnight one night, huh?
I did. I was getting text messages asking where I was at. I was home staying out of trouble. But that it was good to see a lot of folks there. I know our federal lobbyists came all the way from DC. We want to thank them. Chris Com was there as well on the state side. There's a lot of good people there. So we really appreciate everyone's efforts. And it was a pleasure to join you for LAFCO. You do a good job chairing that as well. And so thanks for having me. No problem, sir. No, I enjoyed learning just a little bit more. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Supervisor Forgoodness.
I'd just like to thank Jay, but I think he took off
I
already.
hear you left.
Obviously got a lot of work to do. I want to thank him and congratulate the people that were awarded this morning, Catherine and all the rest of them, for all the good work that you've done here.
Good work. Are you wanting lunch or what?
Just donuts.
Just donuts? Oh. Thank you. And for me and Supervisor Fagundes, the Kings Waste and Recycling meeting that was held on September 28th, the board received all the fiscal year interim reports. There is a software program that we have initiated that will help cities. I think Matt's left. Oh, Matt's in the back. Will help
tabulate all of the tonnages, both organic, recycling, solid waste and green waste. So we look forward. That system is being rolled out, but it's having a few glitches and just getting staff trained to be able to use it. We're also updating the land leases. There are several land leases that King's Waste and Recycling owns, and we're working on those and have those wrapped up by calendar year. As Supervisor Valley talked about LAFCO, we only had a single item, and that was to send staff to Newport Beach. I don't know why they don't have conferences in Armona, but they have the conference in Newport Beach. It has been delayed for a couple of years. And so because of COVID, it would usually move from north to south and central. It has stayed in Newport Beach for the last 3 years, but they've also been canceled, so it's catch-up time on LAFCO issues. CART meeting, we applied for transit grants from the California State Transportation Agency to modernize transportation. A lot of discussion about the transit station and the city of Hanford having the first right of refusal on the site down near the Amtrak station. And so we're going to begin that discussion and see what the next life is of that property. We also tried to launch a transportation software program through Verizon 5G. Never made it work. I don't know who your provider is, but Verizon 5G service was just never worked. So we had to step back and negotiate a program with AT&T that's a 3G program. It continues to be phased out, but it continues to work. So we signed a 5-year software license and agreement with Echolane USA, very well-known software that will help with all of the dispatching and all of the record keeping on routes and everything else. So, and there's the capacity to add the city of Corcoran should they ever want to come into the software arena in the future. Continue to announce at West Hills College volleyball season. It continues. It's hard to believe it's October, and we've already wrapped up the home games at Lemoore High. Freshman and JV games will play the rest of the season on the road. So my announcing duties are done there, and only one more varsity game in October. The Hanford Renaissance Fair was over the weekend. A lot of booths, a lot of displays, a lot of historical reenactments, a lot of people. So thank everybody that participated in the Renaissance Fair. Lemoore Raceway also kind of, that season came to an end with the Budweiser Grand Prix double points race, almost 50 cars in attendance. Final race of the regular season. Cal Cup action will take place on October 13th, 14th, and 15th. And then that'll wrap up all of the action at Lemoore Raceway. The MIQ Fall Festival, I want to thank Supervisor Fagundes and John Martin and everyone that did a wonderful job with the meal and all of the pastries and no calorie, no sugar type options that Diane brought. I don't know how you do that, but it worked out very, very well. The weather was perfect, the food was great, and the people were wonderful. Also, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So as you see people, athletes on the field, law enforcement, public protection have patches to bring the annual campaign that brings awareness to the impacts of breast cancer through education, early detection, and support. So thank you when you see those first responders or athletes or anyone supporting a pink ribbon. With that, Mr. Hill, do you want to talk about board correspondence, upcoming events, and future agenda items?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. For your board correspondence, your board received notification of a Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board meeting and agenda for Friday, October 14th at 9 a.m. The meeting can be attended via YouTube live stream or in person in Reading City Hall Reading City Hall located at 777 Cypress Avenue in Redding, California. Your board also received an invitation from Kings County EDC and JTO for the annual dinner, as mentioned today, on Thursday, October 27th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. The event will take place at the fairgrounds in Hanford. For upcoming events, there's a save the date for the United Health Center's Hanford Health Center grand opening on October 5th at 11 a.m. The location will be at 1545 Mall Drive in Hanford. There will be a Kings County Public Safety event on Thursday, October 6th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Kettleman City Park. This is a free family event for the Kettleman City community to learn more about the different services Kings County offers. There'll be a free barbecue, flu shots, and more. The Hanford Harvest Fest will take place on October 15th from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Hanford Mall. The day will include various activities for all ages. Many of them are available with purchase of an access pass. Passes are $10 per person. There will be an Oktoberfest beer festival that will occur on October 15th from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Civic Park. The event benefits the Hanford Police Canine Foundation. The Kings County Farm Bureau will be hosting their annual Harvest Classic Golf event on Monday, October 17th at the Kings County Country Club in Hanford with a shotgun start at 10. Tickets are $150 per person or $600 for a team. The city of Avenel, together with the Rotary of Avenel, will be hosting their third annual Pistachio Days Festival. The free event will take place on October 14th from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And the festivities will continue on Saturday, October 15th. The location will be downtown Avenel on King Street across from the theater. For upcoming agenda items, it's a long list, so settle in. And administration has 7 items. Consideration regarding the approval of an agreement with Stratford Public Utility District for utility arrears, round 2. Consideration regarding approval of appointment to the Behavioral Health Advisory Board. Consideration regarding a chem waste quality update. Consideration regarding water purchase from Mojave Water Agency for Kettleman City Community Service District, water year 2023. Consideration regarding the appointment of a primary and alternate for CSAC for 2022. Consideration regarding the amended canceled meeting scheduled for 2022. And consideration for approval of an agreement with Co-File Technologies Incorporated for the archival book project. Behavioral Health has 4 items. Consideration for approval of a service agreement with Superior Court of California, County of Kings. Consideration regarding approval of an agreement with Champions Recovery. Considerations regarding approval and agreement with for psychiatric and telepsychiatrist services. And consideration for approval of a service agreement with Kings County Commission on Aging for senior access and engagement program services. CDA has 1 item for consideration regarding a final partial cancellation of Land Conservation Williamson Act, contract number 1679. County Council has 1 item for consideration regarding the approval of appointment of directors to the Tulare Lake Drainage District. Finance has 1 item for consideration regarding approval of the 3rd Amendment to agreement between County of Kings and Hudson, Henderson and Company, LLP, for the annual County Kings audit. Health has 2 items, consideration regarding Public Health Associate Program and report regarding the novel coronavirus county update. Human Resources has 1 item for consideration regarding the County Service Award presentations continuation. Human Services Agency has 1 item for consideration regarding the approval of Cornerstone agreement with Triangle Home Key Project. Public Works has 2 items, study session regarding the lease renewal with Calvans and consideration regarding Amendment 1 motor pool fuel system upgrades. And Sheriff has 1 item for consideration regarding approval of the rehire of CalPERS retiree as a retired annuitant. That concludes our report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Michelle. Any questions, comments, or concerns about upcoming events? Any additions? Hearing none. That concludes all the business. We do have 2 items under closed session, personnel matter regarding department head evaluation and significant exposure to litigation. We will report out on any action at our next regular scheduled meeting, which will be Tuesday, October 11th, 2022 at 9 a.m. And who knows when we'll get over. With that, thank you very much, everyone, for their attendance. And the board will move into closed session and then adjourn out of closed session until October 11th. Thank you very much.